What's up, Buttercup? Welcome back to my channel. Today's book series review is The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. I got the box set. Isn't that nice? I really love the box set. It's a little worn and torn at this point. It's been almost a year since I received it for 2023 Christmas. Thank you so much to Erica who sent it. Thank you. And I learned it was in fact not just a movie like The Black Cauldron, y'all know. And it was actually a book series. So you can't really find the books separate. They're in this type of box set, but it was only, I don't know, $25 last time I checked, so that's a pretty good deal, y'all. So I'm just going to pull out each book. They are shiny, so I'm sorry, it might glare. Now here's the first book, The Book of Three. The artwork is fantastic. Now the second book, The Black Cauldron, and this is what Disney based their movie on, with some stuff in The Book of Three. So like The Book of Three and The Black Cauldron, that's the mix. And you know, they didn't follow like, I don't know, 70% of what actually happened in these two books. And you know, it shows. It almost bankrupted them, but oopsie. Now, this is The Castle of Lear, book 3. Book 4 is Terran Wanderer, and book 5 is The High King. All books for me are at 4 stars on Goodreads, though I'd say The Book of 3 and The Black Cauldron are the best of the bunch. Then the other 3 books are really good, but the pacing is pretty off, especially for the 4th and the 5th book. The 3rd book is okay with the pacing, but then you get longer books for 4 and 5, especially 5, and it's like there's kind of some filler in there. Like, you didn't really need certain stuff in there. So technically, in my mind, the last 3 books are 3.5 stars, but I rounded up on Goodreads to 4. So all of them are 4. I'm good with that. I have settled on 4 stars for all of them. Now I'm gonna say that The Book of 3 and The Black Cauldron are the best. And then I would say The Castle of Lear is 3rd. And then, yeah, it's tough. Terran Wanderer, I was a little more into Terran Wanderer. I would say technically worse pacing than The High King. But The High King, ooh, a little chunky monkey. It's not that chunky. It's like, how much? Not even 300 pages. Okay, but when you start out with like really concise books like these two, to the point, fast-paced, fun, we're getting into it, yes, and then you get like a little chunky, or not really chunky, I'm using that word lightly. You get a little longer, that's better, with The Castle of Lear, but it still is at a pretty good pace, though there are some spots where it really stalls. Like, you know, these are great, solid, but I think it gets a little choppy with the last 2, so just keep that in mind, even though I said that they're all great, but like, I'm getting specific here in the which one is best and which ones, you know, might need a little working on, hypothetically. I don't think, yeah, this is tough. I don't think that these would be published as is. It is very 60s high fantasy. Let's just get into actually a little backstory. It's middle grade high fantasy, though back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was for kids and targeted for kids, as there was no preteen market for books, aka middle grade. The preteen market, the middle grade book market, wasn't really in fashion until like, I would say like the 90s, but more so the early 2000s. Now, preteen as a market, that was founded in the 90s. It took a little bit to catch on for books. So like I said, it is an older book series. It was written and published in the 1960s, and it was marketed as a series like Lord of the Rings, but for kids. And it was definitely that. You can see that clearly. Very focused on good versus evil, honor, respect, and it then involves a whole coming of age arc for Taran, the main character. One of the main characters. The main character. Because there's a whole band. And then, I think because it's a little older, I did not know that it was a book series. I only knew about the movie. I think most people around my age, like millennial, especially younger, like, I think it cut off by millennial. We realized it was a movie. We watched the movie. You loved it or you hated it because it was really dark, and Disney did not follow the book anything. Well, okay, there's some stuff, but it really did not capture the book. I still love the movie, but I watched the movie after I read the books, and I was like, oh no, what happened here? Yeah, I mean, things happen. They kind of took out the coming of age. They took out, in some ways, the blatant, like, kind of in your face good versus evil and honor. They made it really subtle. But in this series, just like Lord of the Rings, it's right there. Like, you can't deny that that's themes going on throughout these books. And that is kind of a shame regarding me not knowing about this book series until I was 30 or like maybe 29, whatever. I was an adult. It's a shame because I know for a fact that younger me would have loved, adored, been obsessed with these books. And my gripes that I mentioned that are like very specific, and they're not like particularly like, it's not bad. It's just like I was struggling a little bit with the last two and kind of sort of the Castle of Lear, but I still got through them within like a weekish, so it's not terrible, okay? They're all 4 stars, okay? Great. I don't want to sound like I'm dissing the books because they're great, because I did really enjoy them, and I'm glad that I found out and I read the books and not just, you know, watched the movie over and over again. I probably watched it 40 times in my life. Okay, so I am dedicated in one way or another, but I digress. If I was a kid reading these, I wouldn't have had the, you know, gripes that I have as an adult reading hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of fantasy books, including many high fantasy books that have already done, and in a way done better, the tropes that you see in this series and like in Lord of the Rings. Those are early high fantasy and epic fantasy. They created the genre. So I'm totally giving more grace to Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Prydain and The Last Unicorn and so on and so forth, because they started it. So it's not necessarily refined, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people make that connection in some form or another. Also to note, this series is based on Welsh folklore, a little bit of history and myths, so the names are very hard to pronounce half the time, even with a pronunciation guide in every single book in the back. I gave up on a few names, I'm gonna be honest, and don't feel bad because Welsh is very hard. All of the Celtic languages are hard. I called, like, I don't know, I can't pronounce his name, Gwendon, whatever. I called him Gideon. I don't care. So there are just some that I'm like, I have no idea. And in the beginning, I was trying really hard to pronounce these names, but it was becoming a distraction, so I just made crap up. Sorry, not sorry. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get into the story, and some character names, actually these aren't really like made up character names, they are legit Welsh names. Sometimes you just have to not try hard. That sounds so bad. But if you are going to give these books to your kid, preteen, teenager. I do think that just have like a brief conversation about how there are going to be names in this series that are really hard, and it's okay that you don't know them because it's a completely different language. Celtic languages are extremely difficult, so don't feel bad. And if you're an adult reading these, don't feel bad. I definitely recommend The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!